Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. First of all, I have very exciting news to announce. A brand new information platform that is free of political censorship and degenerate content like violence, drugs, and pornography has just been officially released yesterday. And it is called 干净 World. 干净 is the Chinese pronunciation for clean, so 干净 world means clean world. It seeks to provide a new form of clean social media, with the goal of creating a digital town square that is family friendly. I have opened an English channel there as well as a Chinese channel. So from now on, 干净 World will be my main alternative platform to release my new videos. If YouTube continues to suppress me too badly or give me more strikes, I may someday move to this new platform completely. So please make sure you go to 干净 World and subscribe to my new channel there. The website address for 干净 World is 干净 world.com. That is GANJING world.com. I've tried to upload some old videos there. It is super fast and supports live streaming as well. Now, let's go to our main topic today. Last week, I was invited by Young Americans for Liberty to give a speech about Confucius Institutes and classrooms at their annual conference. So I didn't have the chance to talk about the hot news of Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. So today I will make it up. I will also talk about 5 possible ways that the CCP could take Taiwan. I'd like to hear what you think about which is the most likely way after you listen to all of the 5 possibilities. It was said that before Pelosi's flight landed in Taiwan, 320,000 people were watching the live broadcasting of her flight status at the same time. Perhaps there had never been any one single flight that had attracted the attention of so many people. Some Chinese netizens joked that there had never been so many men feeling so excited about an 82-year-old woman and waiting to decide whether they should fire at this woman or not in the same night. Well, I think the reasons why so many people were so worked up are the following. 1, the tension in this area has been rising to such a point in recent years that virtually everybody believes that a war against Taiwan will be inevitable. It is just a matter of when. 2, before Nancy Pelosi's visit, former chief editor of the CCP's mouthpiece Global Times, Hu Xijin, suggested that the CCP's Army PLA should shoot down her flight. His statement was widely covered by international media, and this in turn raised the level of tension in this area to an unprecedented level. Although there had been quite a lot of controversies about Pelosi's Taiwan visit, such as whether she should visit Taiwan or not, whether it was just her personal show, etc. I would say the conflict will happen sooner or later and has nothing to do with Pelosi's visit. If we look at the longer history, we can find there is such a sentence in Frederick Engel's preface to 1888 English edition of Manifesto of the Communist Party, quote, "The entire history of mankind has been a history of class struggles, contests between exploiting and exploited, ruling and oppressed classes. That the history of these class struggles forms a series of evolution in which nowadays a stage has been reached where the exploited and oppressed class, the proletariat, cannot attain its emancipation from the sway of the exploiting and ruling class, the bourgeoisie, without, at the same time and once and for all, emancipating society at large from all exploitation, oppression, class distinction, and class struggles, unquote. This sentence is fairly long and complex, but the Chinese Communist Party has put it in a much shorter and simpler way. Quote, the proletariat can only liberate itself after it liberates all mankind, unquote. So, liberating all mankind is the goal of the CCP. That is why its army is called the People's Liberation Army. Liberate means aggressively attacking to achieve communism in that area, not to passively defend when being attacked. Liberating Taiwan is also the term that the CCP has been using for decades. Nowadays, there are many people both inside and outside of China talking about getting rid of Xi Jinping so that we can go back to Deng Xiaoping or Jiang Zemin or Hu Jintao's time when the CCP was not that aggressive and allowed everybody to make money happily. But they failed to realize that Xi Jinping was chosen by his predecessors as an ideal successor, a perfect compromise between different CCP factions. It is not that in Deng Xiaoping or Jiang Zemin or Hu Jintao's time, the CCP didn't want to liberate Taiwan or mankind. It is only that the CCP needed to hide its capabilities and bide its time then when its power was not big enough. When the CCP was emboldened by the wealth it accumulated in the past 4 decades, its war-wolf nature emerged, and that's when all the problems started to occur again, including tensions in the Taiwan Strait. So while many people may not like Pelosi or her stances on many domestic issues, her support for Taiwan, as well as support from other democratic countries, were long overdue. Then why would Hu Xijin shout about shooting Nancy Pelosi's flight down? I think there could be 2 reasons. The first reason is because of the CCP's misjudgment of the world again. Perhaps it believed that by shouting out loud enough, American politicians would be scared so badly that the trip would be cancelled. Then the CCP could declare a big victory. The CCP might also want to do a pressure test on the US politicians to see how far they could go. The second reason could be that Xi Jinping's political enemies within the party wanted to create more tension and trouble for Xi Jinping to deal with, to either embarrass him or to make a big enough mistake, or for him to make a big enough mistake to be thrown off the stage. Not only has the CCP misjudged the world, but the world also often misjudges the CCP. One of the biggest misjudgments is that if we help the CCP and give it enough time, it will reform, change itself, obey international rules, and become part of the civilized world. Another big misjudgment is that if we appease the CCP and don't anger it, the CCP won't create any trouble for the world. I think that is why many people, including people in Taiwan, have blamed Nancy Pelosi for the increased tension in the Taiwan Strait. We all know that right after Pelosi left Taiwan, the CCP started to have military exercises around the island of Taiwan. According to the exercise plan released by the CCP, a complete blockade was formed around Taiwan, and the blocking exercise will be routine and become a new norm. Then what will the CCP do in the future? Daily Telegraph in the UK has given out 4 possibilities. 1, an ever-tightening squeeze on Taiwan, which begins in a similar way to the current drills. The CCP has done this in its famous siege of Changchun. In 1948, that is during the CCP's civil war against the Kuomintang, the PLA blocked Changchun city in northeast China for 150 days. The policy was to starve the enemy as well as civilians in the city to death. It was estimated that about 100,000 to 650,000 people starved to death. The ruthless siege triggered a mutiny inside the Kuomintang army, which led to the surrender of Kuomintang and the victory of the PLA. So, according to diplomatic sources, this is also the first possibility of the CCP's ways of taking Taiwan. The second possibility is island grab. There is a chain of islands just east of the coast of Xiamen City in China and the Manchu Islands northwest of Taiwan. At little cost, the CCP could seize all or some of the islands, which are home to about 20,000 people, to gauge a reaction from the CCP. The third possibility is air blitz. The CCP could choose limited punitive attacks using missiles and jets to weaken Taiwan by targeting coastal defenses, radar sites, and airfields in hopes of tipping Taiwan to the negotiating table without provoking a reaction from the West. The fourth possibility is an all-out offensive, a massive assault on Taiwan that could be even more devastating than Russia's attack on Ukraine. Actually, there is a fifth possibility. According to Lude Media, the Chinese YouTube channel, which released the top secret recording of the CCP's war preparation meeting in May. Lude Media said that Xi Jinping has given a 16-word policy for Taiwan, which is in Chinese, 围而不攻,制造摩擦,内部颠覆,交接防务. Let me explain the 16 words one by one. The first 4 words, 围而不攻, means siege without attacking. I think it is pretty much the same strategy the CCP used in its famous siege of Changchun campaign in 1948, before the CCP seized power in China. The second 4 words, 制造摩擦, mean create frictions. The CCP wants to create frictions inside Taiwan, just like what the siege of Changchun did to the Kuomintang. Maybe some forces inside Taiwan will say, let's surrender and go back to our great motherland and be unified with our sisters and brothers in China. And the third 4 words, 内部颠覆, means subvert from within. I think this is not hard to understand, and this could be the best case scenario for the CCP. The last 4 words, 交接防务, mean hand over defense system or the army or the Taiwan army to the CCP. According to Lude Media, the CCP would even keep the name Republic of China and the election system of Taiwan, but from then on, all the people elected would be the CCP's own people only, and the CCP would make Taiwan a bridgehead that the US trusts, but is actually anti-America. Well, it seems that the fifth possibility is very similar to the first one. From what I observed, this could be the most likely approach the CCP would want to adopt. I only hope that the public in Taiwan is fully aware of this kind of real threat from the CCP. Finally, I'd like to say, like it or not, the situation in the Taiwan Strait as well as the geopolitics has been permanently changed after Pelosi's Taiwan visit. The conflict will no longer be mainly the conflict between Taiwan and the CCP, but will be mainly the conflict between the US and the CCP. From the CCP's point of view, it has long since viewed the US as its number one enemy. And from the US point of view, a final showdown with the CCP may be inevitable no matter what. So it is better to be well prepared than trying to pretend that a direct conflict with the CCP can be avoided. Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my content, please spread my channel and videos or go to my website at jenniferzengblog.com. Sign up for a membership or make a donation to show your support. Also, please don't forget to visit Ganjing Road and subscribe to my channel there. I will put a link to my channel in the description box. Thank you. See you.